Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 288. Happy New Year from President Trump. All right, guys. I hope y'all have a good, safe weekend planned. Well, it's going to be a long weekend, but a very safe New Year's Eve tonight. All right. Got a few things going to cover today in the JP8 Report. But before we get started, don't forget, since you are on the JP8 Report, if you are a follower, just click that like button. If you are not a follower yet, please do so now by clicking that follow button, and then go right next to that to the thumbs up and click that thumbs up button and give us a like. I really appreciate that. And if you can share it, that'd even be greater. All right. But welcome to the JP8 Report, the last show that I'm going to have of this year. I know, I had to do it. But yeah, this is the last show of the year because it's December 31st. I will be doing another podcast on Friday, January 2nd. Just keep up the progress of the podcast and keep it rolling like we should be. I didn't take 2 weeks off. I took a few days off last week. I'm getting ready to drive on with it. Don't forget, we're live on X and YouTube and Facebook. Matter of fact, I did not know, but this morning I had to reset the Facebook link on Rumble Studio. I had no idea what happened. I think I need to go back and look at the past shows on Facebook to see if they've actually been going on them. But that's all right. I still post everything. All right. So let's try to make this a little interactive if you get a chance and you want to leave a comment or have a question. But as always, I do American history first, the America 250. So this day will be December 31st, 1775. And then I'm marching forward with it every day. All right. So the Battle of Quebec City. This was a low point in the early stages of the American Revolution, and even though it turned out bad for us, we need to know, because some big stuff happened in this that people need. I did not even know that this was mentioned in the musical Hamilton, because I've never seen it before. My daughter's seen it, and I tried to tell her a little bit about the Battle of Quebec City, and she's like, "Dad, I already know. General Montgomery died." I'm like, how do you even know? She said, well, they mentioned it in Hamilton because Aaron Burr was in it. I'm like, man, okay. So, if you've seen Hamilton, you know a little bit about what this battle is. I think it was just a tiny bit. All right, so the Battle of Quebec occurred as part of the failed American attempt to invade Canada and rally French-Canadian support for the Patriot movement against the British. Limited troops, illness, and disorganization on the Patriot side contributed to the British victory on December 31st, 1775. Due to Quebec's strong fortifications, most American forces were forced to retreat before entering the city limits. The American militia that made it to the city found themselves disorganized as a blizzard, as I told y'all yesterday about the snowstorm, had impaired their visibility. Because of these circumstances, the Patriots were forced to retreat. Although Benedict Arnold attempted to lay siege to the city after the defeat, the rival British forces ended the American campaign for Canada. After the Americans had successfully captured Fort Ticonderoga on May 10th, 1775, Patriot commanders, including General Philip Schuyler, gained confidence in the strength of the American forces. With faith in the Continental Army, Schuyler made plans to invade Canada in order to rally support among the French Canadians for the American cause. Quebec was held by British General Guy Carleton, who acted as both provincial governor and commander of British troops. The initial efforts to invade Canada began in September 1775 when Nathan Hale and his Green Mountain Boys attempted to capture Montreal. With a force of only 100 militia, Ethan Allen's men were defeated. Allen was imprisoned and he was sent to England, as we all know, right? In addition to the failed attempt, General Schuyler, who was also meant to lead the army into Montreal, fell ill and was forced to delegate the invasion to General Richard Montgomery. Although the preceding circumstances were demoralizing, Montgomery successfully captured Montreal on November 13, 1775. Following this success, the Patriot forces turned their attention to invading Quebec. Now, there were 3,000 American soldiers and 1,200, there were 1,200 American soldiers and 1,800 British soldiers there. All right. On December 31st, 1775, General Montgomery led the attack on the fortified city of Quebec by moving around the city walls and into the coastal shore area of the St. Lawrence River. Along the coastal areas, there were a few British defenses, leading Montgomery to believe that it would be easier access point into the city. Although a blizzard had begun the night prior, the Patriots moved forward, operating with significantly decreased visibility. In order to coordinate the attack between Patriot armies on either side of the city, Montgomery's men were tasked to shoot the rockets into the air as means of communicating to Arnold's militia that it was time to invade. However, as the attack began, disorganization and disorientation ensued, with the American militia getting lost in the blizzard. As Montgomery's men pushed forward toward the city, Canadian militia caught sight of the lanterns guiding the Continentals and opened fire. The opposing sides were in close range at that point, and a grape shot from Canadian fortress killed General Montgomery and others in his group. After seeing their commander fall, some Continentals began to flee, while others continued the attack. Despite their best intentions, these remaining devoted men from Montgomery's militia were eventually forced to retreat when they could not breach the defenses of the city. Meanwhile, General Arnold and his men were not having much success in their efforts either. Arnold had moved his militia to attack on the north side of the city. However, his movements were detected, and incessant musket and cannon fire rained down on his men and from on top of the city walls. Because of the height of the city walls, Arnold and his men could not effectively return gunfire. Eventually, the Patriots breached the fortress and began flooding the city. Unfortunately, during the assault, Arnold was shot in the leg and was forced to retreat. In his absence, General Daniel Morgan took command and the Patriots moved into the city from the north, moving towards the previously agreed meeting point with Montgomery's army. Once there, Arnold's men realized that they were fighting without backup when Montgomery's troops failed to arrive. General Carleton took advantage of the Patriots' confusion, reorganized his defenders into an attack force. General Morgan led his men through the unfamiliar streets of Quebec until they were met by the organized British forces. The two forces met at close range and began fighting in the street. Many of the American guns ran out of ammunition or were rendered useless by the weather. I remember they were flintlock rifles. Leaving the Patriots to fight a losing battle. Finally, at about 9 a.m., General Morgan and about 400 Americans surrendered and were taken prisoner by the British. There were 515 American casualties. There were 51 killed, 36 wounded, and 387 missing and captured. The British had 18, 5 killed and 13 wounded. It says the American advances had failed and the British were victorious in the battle for the city of Quebec. General Arnold reorganized the surviving militia into an encirclement of the city and laid siege. However, in preparation for the American attacks, General Carleton had already stored ample supplies for the city that would last for months. During the siege, disease and harsh winter weakened Arnold's forces despite their best efforts, and effectiveness of the siege, coupled with the arrival of British reinforcements, forced the Patriots to retreat from the city in May. That's 5 months later, 1776. The failures of Quebec ended the American campaign in Canada. Not only had the Patriots failed to persuade the French Canadians to join their cause, but they also lost many men in an attempt to do so. Some of the best American leaders and militia were injured, killed, and captured in the attempts to invade Canada, combining with the defeat with devastating losses to the American army. So, General Montgomery was killed. General Benedict Arnold, the future traitor, he was wounded, but he was valiant in his defense, trying to maintain the American lines, and actually even laid siege to Quebec City for 5 months. Aaron Burr was part of the attack. I don't know what his role was inside of the attack after General Montgomery fell. Was he one of them that survived and joined up with General Arnold? Was he one of the ones that fled? Was he captured? I don't know. But that would have been nice if we could have won that battle. I froze. Hold on. I'm still going. I moved my mouse. Okay. All right. So, but that was December 31st, 1775. And also, I do believe this is the day that the Grand Union Army flag, Grand Flag of the Union, was hoisted on this day in 1775, I believe. If I'm wrong, let me know. All right, I'm looking right at the chat in three different spots. All right, so onward to, well, wait a minute. Before we do that, we got to talk about the Dalmatian guys, right? Maybe. There we go. All right. So, I do believe they're open today. I don't know if they're open tomorrow. We'll see. But this is the Dalmatian Burger Group right here in Copper's Cove. They make homemade, fresh, smash burgers and dogs right here in Copper's Cove. All their ingredients are homemade, including their buns. And they're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 11 to 2 and 5:30 to 7, unless they sell out. And they're located behind bushes on the west side of Copper's Cove, in the shopping center. And come on down. All right, check them out. Matter of fact, right after this, I got to upload the ScrewTube and then the permanent video on the ScrewTube. And then I'm going to take a quick trip down there and buy me a burger and fries. Okay? I'm the only one here I can do that. All right, so next to the JP8 report actual. Here we go. Happy New Year from President Trump. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. So all I have is a slide from him, from True Social. The first one is on the left. It's the polls are rigged, even more than the writers. The real number is 64%, and why not? Our country is hotter than ever before. It is nice to have a strong border, no inflation, a powerful military, and a great economy. Happy New Year. It says over 50% of voters approve of President Trump. And that's a Trafalgar poll, and it was 64%, I believe. Okay? But his approval rating is over 50%, which is good, right? A lot of people are discounting. They call it Trafalgar an outlier. It's not. It's a very accurate poll. All right? Now, the next one, going on the right, God bless Tina Peters, who is now, for 2 years out of 9, sitting in a Colorado maximum security prison at the age of 73 and sick for the crime of trying to stop the massive voter fraud that goes on in her state, where the people are leaving in record numbers. I saw that on a poll today. Colorado is the fifth number in the states that are actually people leaving. Hard to wish her a happy new year, but the scumbag governor and his disgusting Republican rhino DA who did this to her. Nothing happens to Democrats and their phony mail-in ballot system that makes it impossible for Republicans to win in an otherwise very winnable state. I wish them only the worst. May they rot in hell. Free Tina Peters. She was just trying to do her best and trying to bring to light how the voting system is in Colorado, and she got convicted, right? You might say, well, why didn't the president just pardon her? Well, she was convicted on state law, not federal law, so only the governor or a parole board can issue a pardon to pardon her or commute her sentence and let her out. So she's stuck, right? Unless we get a Republican governor inside of Colorado, right? They're so far to the left, I think California is Republican. If you look at Colorado, the only thing they got going for them is Lauren Boebert, and she's in, I believe, the western side of the state. I think that's where her congressional district is. But, yeah, pray for her family. Tina Peters, she needs to be freed, right? She's 73 years old. She ain't going to do no harm to no one. She was only doing her best. And it turns to find out that a lot of the mail-in ballots are crooked anyway. Come get me. Come and take it, right? I live in Texas. Try it if you want. Okay. So next is Mamdani will be sworn in as mayor at midnight, and even Eric Adams will be at the swearing-in ceremony. So he will be the first New York City mayor sworn in on a Quran when he takes office. So this is according to the New York Post. Zoran Mamdani will be the first New York City mayor to be sworn in on a Quran when he takes office at midnight, January 1st. Mamdani, who will be the first Muslim and the first socialist to lead City Hall, will use at least 3 different sets of Islam's holy book to take the oath of office during his private and public ceremonies Thursday. The far-left politician is expected to use his grandfather's Quran and one that belonged to black writer and historian Arturo Skrombag, lent by the New York Public Library during a private midnight ceremony at the abandoned Old City Hall subway station. During the daytime oath of office outside City Hall, he will again use his father's religious book and at least one other family Quran. New York Times, the failing New York Times, first reported a Mamdani representative confirmed State Attorney General Letitia James will swear in Mamdani at midnight, while Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders will deliver the oath of office to the Democrat Socialists later in the day. So my question is, he's going to swear in on the Quran, multiple Qurans, right? Does he want to abide by the pillar of the Muslim faith where Sharia law is primary? Because that needs to be clarified. And also, is he just a Muslim, practicing Muslim in name only? Because most socialists and communists are agnostic and atheists. So is he just playing another game with people and lying through his teeth to them? We shall see, because I expect he is. You know, the guy of free New York Post, hold on. The guy of Minnesota Somali-run daycare bizarrely says all their important documents about child care were stolen in a mystery break-in. Go figure, right? Should be backed up by digits anyway. And, you know, free subways, free child care, frozen rent. Matter of fact, it came out yesterday that, and I got a little bit more to talk about him a little bit later in the podcast. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So if a high-rise apartment owner wants to sell their building so they can leave the city, Mamdani said, or one of his new aides said, that it will be open to nonprofits first instead of regular, like, millionaires or billionaires or venture people that want to buy it all up. They're gonna hold it back for nonprofits to bid on it, so they can have non-billionaire people own these buildings, right? Now, to the people, for the people, right? Until they socialize everything. Good luck, New York. You asked for it. You asked for it. No comments yet? All right. And then the next one is former Republican Senator Ben Nine-Horse Campbell from Colorado. See, there was a Republican senator in Colorado, right? He died yesterday at the age of 92. And he became a Republican in 1995. He shocked the world when he left the Democrat Party and became a Republican. But he was in the House of Representatives from 1987 to 1993, and he was in the United States Senate from 1993 to 2005 when he retired. And he was a Cheyenne Indian, right? And then to go along with that, also, former Arizona Republican Senator Jon Kyl announced that he has dementia and he's going to leave public life. And he's got well over 30 years of service, public service, but he's going to step back now that he formally came out and told everyone he's got dementia. Pray for his family and Campbell's family too. Jon Kyl was in the United States House of Representatives at the same time as Ben Nine-Horse Campbell, from 1987 to 1995. And he was in the Senate from 1995 to 2013. And then when John McCain passed away, he was a he did a placeholder sitting in the United States Senate and promised not to run for election or anything, and so he filled up to a special election for the remainder of John McCain's Senate seat, right? But he is going to fade out into retirement and take care of himself. All right, next on the JP8 report, it is I had a blurred image on my screen just a second ago. You know what? I forgot to read something. Okay, let's go back to President Trump. Okay, so President Trump, along with that slide I showed you all a while ago, the New York Post wrote, President Trump took to Truth Social late Tuesday night to wish Americans a happy New Year while touting the economy's strong border and economy and inflation. He wrote, the polls are rigged even more than the writers. The real number is 64%, which I just told y'all. And why not? Our country is hotter than ever before. Isn't it nice to have a strong border, no inflation, and a powerful military and a great economy? Happy New Year. And it said Trump doesn't have any public schedule on his agenda today, but he will be attending a New Year's Eve party later this evening, and he's currently at Mar-a-Lago, Florida. I meant to say that earlier. I apologize for that, people. All right. Now, Trump's Health and Human Services, which would be Secretary Kennedy, freezes all child care funding from Minnesota until they can show proof. All right. Let's see. And I have a Truth Social slide I want to show on that in just a second too. The Trump administration is freezing all child care payments to Minnesota and demanding a comprehensive audit of the state's daycare centers. Boy, that's weird. He wants an audit of the state's daycare centers, and I just saw that burst of breaking news from the New York Post that owner of that daycare center said all their paperwork was disappeared in a break-in. Go figure, right? Let's see. As a mushrooming billion-dollar fraud scandal engulfs the state's Human Services Department, we have frozen all child care payments to the state of Minnesota. Deputy Health and Human Services Secretary Jim O'Neill, a staunch conservative, wrote on X Tuesday afternoon after a viral video investigating alleged fraud at daycare centers in the state drew national attention. That'd be the Nick Shirley video. Minnesota has received $185 million in child care payments from the Trump administration this year, according to Alex Adams, Assistant Secretary of the HHS Administration on Children and Families. The funds will be released only when states prove that they are being spent legitimately, the Health and Human HHS Secretary said. O'Neill said Minnesota has funneled millions of taxpayer dollars to fraudulent daycares across Minnesota over the past decade and outlined 3 actions the department has taken in an attempt to cut off the flow of exploitable funds. First action will impose the requirement for receipt or photo evidence for any payments made to states through the U.S. Administration for Children and Families. Oh, that's what ACF stands for. Okay. O'Neill said that he has demanded Minnesota Governor Tim Walz conduct a comprehensive audit of the centers highlighted. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections. He specifically cited YouTuber Nick Shirley's video published on Friday in which he visited daycare centers across Minneapolis, receiving millions in state funds that appear to be closed or out of operation. And then third, HHS has launched a hotline and email address dedicated to reporting fraud at childcare.gov. Okay, that'd be childcare.gov. All right. Whether you are a parent, provider, or a member of the general public, we want to hear from you, he said. We have turned off the money spigot and we are finding the fraud. So far, at least $1 billion in fraud has been confirmed by authorities, and 92 people have been charged, 82 whom are Somalis, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, which warned the number could be as high as $9 billion. Okay. Oh man, I messed this stuff all up. Okay, that's cool. Congressman Tom Emmer, I believe he's the Republican whip in the House. He's from Minnesota. He went as far as saying that he would support producing legislation for any naturalized citizen that commits fraud with U.S. government taxpayer dollars, denaturalizing them and deporting them back to their country of origin. The president supports that. I think that's a really good idea. I think I would even support that also, right? Man. So the president, along with that article, put this out on Truth Social. Much of the Minnesota fraud, up to 90%, is caused by people that came into our country illegally from Somalia. Congressman Omar, an ungrateful loser who only complains and never contributes, is one of the many scammers. Did she really marry her brother? Lowlifes like this can only be liable to our country's greatness. Send them back to where they came from. Somalia, perhaps the worst and most corrupt country on earth. Make America great again. And that came from the president, because I think he's had enough of it. All right. Federal Reserve. Okay. I just read that one. Okay. Federal Reserve minutes were revealed from their last meeting, and most of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors and the FOMC, they believe most Fed officials believe additional interest rate cuts are appropriate as long as inflation continues to cool, according to minutes from the Federal Reserve's meeting on December 9th and December 10th, which was 3 weeks ago. We knew that they lowered interest rates by a quarter point, I think. But a couple of them wanted it half a point. I think one of them wanted a half a point. But they want to continue the lowering the interest rates as long as, what do you call it? Man. As long as the inflation is tempered, right? Policymakers slashed interest rates earlier this month by a quarter point on a vote of 9-3, and most dissents since 2019, as officials debated on whether to power towards inflation fears, which is not materializing because inflation dropped again. Federal Governor Stephen Moran dissented in favor of a more aggressive half-point cut, while Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee, a liberal, and Kansas City Fed President Jeff Schmidt voted against the decision in favor to keeping rates on hold. The minutes revealed even deeper split among officials, because not everyone is eligible to vote on the interest rates until they have an appropriate amount of time in. While projections varied greatly between individuals, the median forecast was one interest rate cut for all of 2026. That's the median forecast. All right. A few of those supported the lowering the policy rate at this meeting indicated the decision was finally balanced, or that they could have supported keeping the target rate unchanged. Several participants pointed out the risk of higher inflation becomes entrenched, suggesting that lowering the policy rate further in the context of elevated inflation readings could be misinterpreted, implying diminished policymaker complement of a 2% inflation objective. 2% is low, really low, right? This year's record-breaking government shutdown threw a wrench in the hopes of a faster rate cut path in 2026. I'm surprised they didn't try to blame the Republicans on that. It was all the Democrats' fault. The federal officials made their interest rate decision in December without the complete economic picture. And then we'll end on that one. So, where is that other one? Hold on, I got another article I want to read about the Fed. Let me find it. I think I'm out of order, but that's all right. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So, this is about President Trump, and he's finished his interviews for the Fed chair because Jerome Powell, unless he gets fired, which he should, but he's supposed to leave in May from the Federal Reserve, right? Unless he gets fired. All right, so to go with that, before I go on, hey, don't forget to click like for the podcast if you would like to, please. And if you're not a follower of the podcast, please click follow. All right, that'd be greatly appreciated. Ahead of New Year's holiday, President Trump said he will make a decision on who he wants to lead the Federal Reserve by January. That'd be tomorrow, right? I don't know when in January, but he will be. Current chair Jerome Powell's term expires in May and has made it clear he will fulfill his obligation running the central bank. This week, Donald Trump continued his verbal assault on Powell, who he again called too late for failing to cut interest rates at a faster pace. He also called on him a fool and criticized him for the renovation of the Federal Reserve at Washington, D.C. headquarters, which is run over budget, like by $2.5 billion. Some have connections to the central bank and the White House, while others hold a top spot in the world's largest asset manager. Okay, the first one, Kevin Hassett. Kevin Hassett is the director of the National Economic Council. Hassett is reported to be one of the top two picks, is on his second spin through Trump's orbit. He is the director of the National Economic Council. In the first Trump administration, he was senior advisor and chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. Both agencies work in tandem with the White House on economic policies. After the economy posted a growth of 4.3% in the third quarter, Hassett took a victory lap for the White House. Trump's policies are working and are very visibly working because we have seen the data. Then the next one is the second Kevin. There's two Kevins, right? Kevin Warsh. Let's see. Kevin Warsh is, I think the record is really quite poor in forecasting the growth of the economy from policies like, am I on the right page? Yeah, sure am. That's why they were so late. That's why we had this surge in inflation. That's why the most harm to the hardest working Americans among us. So that track record, I think still matters. He said that in a recent appearance on Maria Bartiromo. What he's talking about is that the Federal Reserve is too slow. by the time they make a decision, the data is old and they make a wrong decision. They have to make their decisions on interest rates and monetary policy faster than they are actually doing at this time. The next guy is Rick Reeder. Rick Reeder is the chief information officer for BlackRock Global, and then he's BlackRock's chief investment officer of global finance, fixed income, oversees $3.2 trillion in customer assets for the world's largest asset manager, and BlackRock has more than $10 trillion under management. It's a big company. During an interview with Liz Clayman from Fox, he declined comment on his possibility of leading the Fed. And then we have Christopher Waller. And then Michelle Bowman. They're the minor people. Sometimes, you know, when you have an interview with people, you get fillers to help solidify the people you want to choose, right? So the two main people that's in the running, unless there's a surprise dark horse out there, is Kevin Hassett and Kevin Warsh. And the lead go-for person right now is Kevin Hassett, because his loyalty to the president and his experience and wisdom when it comes to economic matters. So we'll see in just a few weeks on who the next. And now that person also has to be confirmed through the United States Senate also. So they got to get through them also. All right. Wow, Syracuse shatters record with 2 feet of snow on Tuesday. Sorry if y'all are in Syracuse right now. It's a lot. Okay, so next. What we got here? Yeah, we'll go with this one. I'll go with the Mamdani one, okay? Mamdani has... he's going to be sworn in on tonight at midnight, right? But when he does, he's already made appointments for his senior legal advisor and his FDNY, which the person he chose is gay, which is no big deal, right? Because even though I don't agree with that lifestyle, she's a 30-year EMS person and no experience at all as a firefighter. And she's going to be the commissioner of the FDNY. All that's going to cause is people to retire, and they're going to be short firefighters, right? It's a long process here. It's crazy. Okay, so I need to slow down just a little bit here. All right, so he selected Ramsey Kasem as his legal advisor. He's currently a civil rights lawyer and CUNY, that'd be City University of New York, professor as his chief counsel, sparking debate due to Kasem's past representation of clients like Al-Qaeda associate Ahmed al-Darbi and pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil. Kasem is known for founding the Clear Clinic, which supports communities targeted by national security agencies, and has been criticized for his anti-Israel activism during his time at Columbia University. So, I don't know well, I won't even say that because I'll get myself in a world of trouble. Okay, key details about Mr. Ramsey Kasem. He's going to be the chief counsel for New York City. He's a lawyer and professor, co-founder of the Creating Law Enforcement Accountability and Responsibility. That's called CLEAR. That's what the word CLEAR means. His controversial cases, he represented al-Darbi, who pled guilty to conspiracy in an al-Qaeda plot. The guy should have went to jail for the rest of his life, but I guess this lawyer made it possible for him to plead. And Mahmoud Khalil, for an activist involved in pro-Palestinian protests. He's an activist. He has a history of anti-Israel activism and criticism dating back to his time at Columbia, and previously he served as a senior policy advisor for immigration under the Biden administration. So he's part of the Autopin presidency. So McDonough announced Kasem's appointment alongside other figures like Corporation Counsel Steve Banks, Deputy Mayor Helen Artiga, and what did I write on here? And they're Socialist. So let me get one more drink here. I'm getting all stopped up. It's getting harder to breathe and talk at the same time. Okay. I'll put a cough drop in. Excuse me for that, but I got to. Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani named a pair of controversial lawyers to high-profile jobs in his administration Tuesday, including ex-de Blasio aide who calls himself a social justice attorney and represented an al-Qaeda terrorist, which would be, what's his name, Mr. Kasem. The Democrats Socialists announced he would appoint the crusading activist attorney Stephen Banks, that's the other one, right? Just the latest de Blasio administration retread to head the city's law department as corporation counsel and ex-Biden policy advisor Ramsey Kasem to serve as the city hall chief counsel. While Mamdani lauded the two picks as personnel, he that understands the law and will employ it as a critical tool to fight for working people. Critics sounded the alarm over picks track records. Oh man, I gotta clear my sinuses. Banks comes with a lengthy resume, but Big Apple insiders raised concerns about him being too much of an activist. Banks, who previously served as Mayor Bill de Blasio's Homeless Services Director, notably battled the Eric Adams administration in court when Adams tried to roll back portions of the right to shelter rules to get a hand on the spiraling migrant crisis. Give everybody a house free of charge, right? Banks was the city's contiguous shelter law that guarantees a bed to anyone without a home. See what I'm telling you? He teamed up with the nonprofit again in 2024 showdown with Adams. Outgoing Queens Councilman Robert Holden, a moderate Democrat, predicted Banks' tenure as corporate counsel would be a disaster, but not a surprise. He didn't just have a hand in these policies, he helped design them. The architects of the failed de Blasio area were back for more certain failures. You know, if your policy fails, let's make it fail even harder. That's what these socialists are apt to doing over and over again. They're going to do it until everything comes to a crushing halt, right? No matter what Republicans try to do to try to fix our country, you got people like this that are apt to destroy it as soon humanly possible with people like Bernie Sanders, Sandy Cortez. That's what she was called. That was her name when she was in school. Okay, and you got this Stephen Banks. You got Zora Mamdani, Bernie Sanders. They just want to destroy everything in sight. Like locusts come in and just devour everything in sight and leave nothing in behind. And then people don't believe us as we say, don't vote for them, and they still vote for them. And then they start complaining like, well, what are we doing now? Well, you voted for it. You live it. That's the solution to all your problems. Either vote Republican and get the problem taken care of, or live in your misery, right? Oh man. All right. Where am I at? Let me find. I can't breathe. Okay, we'll stop talking about this one. All right. What else do I want to talk about? Sean Duffy. I love this guy. Did y'all see this picture from his wife on Facebook for Christmas? He had the whole family there. From their oldest daughter, Evita, which is going to have a baby, and her husband is running for Congress in Wisconsin, to all the other kids, and like I'd say about 80% of the kids all look like Rachel Campbell Duffy. I think only 2 of them look like Sean Duffy. That's like me. One of my daughters look partially like me, and the rest of them all look like Ann. So SecTrans, Sean Duffy, said on Tuesday that the California Department of Motor Vehicles does not have an extension on the deadline for the cancellation of CDLs issued to foreign nationals who do not have a legal right to delay the announcement by the park department. Man. Okay, so that's in the next paragraph. Okay, so the California DMV said that roughly 17,000 licenses were set to be terminated on January 5th, but will not have until March 6th. But Duffy said these licenses will not be afforded a 60-day extension, and that failing to meet the deadline could result in the loss of federal funding, which is like $185 million or something like that. So I saw it even on the news this morning. California was saying, you have a 60-day extension to fix your licenses. And the federal government is saying, no, you have until January 5th. Secretary Duffy said on Tuesday that the California Department of Motor Vehicles does not have an extension to deadline for the cancellation of thousands of commercial driver's licenses. They do not have an extension to keep breaking the law and putting Americans at risk on the roads. Duffy added, "Missed the deadline, Gavin, and the U.S. Department of Transportation will act, include cutting nearly $160 million in federal funding." The California DMV justified its 60-day delay by arguing it needs more time to ensure that it will not wrongfully terminate licenses for drivers who legally qualify for them. They should have known that from the very start when they started allowing illegal aliens to get CDLs. Secretary Duffy is absolutely correct in what he's doing. This comes after a class action lawsuit brought by Asian Law Caucus, Sikh Coalition, and Will Gottschall and Mangels LLP on behalf of 5 affected drivers and the Jakarta movement. I guess that's from Indonesia. These groups have argued that many of the targeted drivers may actually qualify for their license. If their licenses expire before their visa does. Let's see, how do they go? If their visas are expired before their license is expired, they're not eligible to have a CDL past that date. And all you have to do is do a database search, and you will know who is and who isn't eligible to stay in the United States with that CDL. Ship their butts back home. The California DMV said that roughly 17,000 licenses that were set to be terminated on January 5th will now last for January till March 6th, which is totally wrong. They don't have that authority. Last month, California DMV sent notices of 17,299 non-domiciled commercial driver license holders, notifying them that these licenses would be canceled January 5th after records show mismatches between the license dates and the driver's work authorization or lawful presence documentation. They mean business. I'm going to read one comment that was left that I can see. The California DMV needs more time to ensure that it does not wrongfully terminate licenses drivers who legally qualify for them. Too bad. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Okay. Very funny. Mr. Newscum, if you want your $160 million for your roads, I would highly suggest you make that January 5th deadline, or you're going to lose a lot of money. All right. So I got this left. I'm almost out of time. So I might get to this. I might not. Okay. So a couple other things. Yesterday I was telling you about the Covenant school shooter, the trans shooter that attacked the Covenant school in Nashville, and they released some documentation and stuff. More of it came out, and she was actually they were showed pictures of her notebook that she was using to jot down notes and plans and stuff, and that she actually was considering attacking a middle school, a black middle school, majority black middle school in Nashville called Criswell, and but she changed her mind and changed her target to the Covenant school, which she went to before that, and because it was majority white, because she is quoted as saying in her journal, "White people I hate." So not only was she racist, she was also transgender also, and mentally disturbed and needed help very badly. All right? And the poor kids and adults that were killed in the aftermath of that shooting is shameful. It should have never, ever happened. Right? And, wow. And that Audrey Hale was killed by police anyway. But it's sad that it even happened, because she could have got help she needed and prevented that from happening. And then on another thing I wanted to bring up was Beetlejuice. That would be Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago. She called National Guard soldiers that were on patrol in Chicago a militia, and said their day of reckoning is coming. I don't know what she means by that. It sounds like a veiled threat to the United States military and to the federal government, and or a right of sedition. So maybe she should watch what she is saying. You know, I read this earlier, but I hadn't seen it on TV. They won't even talk about it in the news. They were talking about Braden Johnson and his knucklehead statements he keeps saying about President Trump and about protecting illegal aliens and stuff inside of his city, instead of all the people that are getting shot and killed there. and they forget all about Beetlejuice and the stupid stuff she said. His approval rating is lower than hers, believe it or not. All right. So that is the JP8 report for December 31st, 2025, the last episode of the year. All right. And we made it to 288 episodes. And I started off in right after Flag Day. I think June 17th was the first one I started back up with. Because if you go look back at my previous JPA reports, I was doing them like one a week or two a week. And then I went on a hiatus for about 5 months. Then I went on another one for almost 11 months. And I said, okay, let's do this again. And I've been doing it Monday through Friday since then, right? So I'm up to 288. But I'm taking tomorrow off because it's New Year's Day. But I'll be back on Friday, January 2nd, with the first show of 2026, right? So let me give you my socials first, okay? Then I'll give you a closing statement. All right. You can find me on X at James Pierce Jr. You can find me on Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. You can find me on YouTube at the JP8 Report 67, True Social, James A. Pierce, and you can send me an email at jp8report@gmail.com. All right. So, like I said, this is the last JP8 for the year. 62 days to the Texas primary on March 3rd. We have a lot of stuff that's going to start accelerating after the year begins, especially on Monday, and it's going to get like a whirlwind. Now, we're going to have forums and debates in this area of the state, especially for District 31. We have a whole slew of county stuff. We have our Lincoln Reagan dinner on February 21st with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. I'll start putting stuff like that on it. So if you want to donate to Coryell County Republican Party or buy tickets to go to the Lincoln Reagan dinner, we got some really good food there. I have the Coppers Cove Conservative Club, which is January 13th, which is 2 weeks away. I can't believe that. And we're going to have an open mic for any Republican that's running for office that wants to speak for up to 5 minutes and state their course, right? But until then, I am going to sign off because I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to take off and go get me a burger from the Dalmatian before they decide to close up for the rest of the year, because I bet they're going to sell out really fast. All right, so this is James Pierce with the JPA Report. Don't forget to click that follow button. Don't forget to click that like button, please, right? We're finished the year right now at 101 followers. Let's crank it up. Let's get a couple more in there, right? But this is James with the JPA Report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.